Hey, what's up? So, I just wanted to do a quick video. I have all the equipment to record with my laptop. I even have a microphone and everything, but I just don't feel like setting it up, and it's much easier to just record. I know it's stupid to have headphones on and everything, and anyway, I don't really care, to be honest. I just wanted to do this video off the cuff and just talk while I had these thoughts on my mind. So I wanted to just say that I'm in appreciation today. I like to end my day. I start my day with gratitude and appreciation, and I end my day with gratitude and appreciation. Today, in particular, I have to say that I am in gratitude of modern technology. I usually have a lot of shit to talk about modern technology, but right now, as I'm reflecting on what me and my kids experienced last week, I have to talk about it. Uh, Wait, was this last week? I don't know. Anyway, so my son was flying, he was going to visit his dad in Florida, and he flew back. I know I look a hot mess. He flew back. Okay, while he was with his dad, here's the thing, he was with his dad, and he was on a ride at Busch Gardens, and his phone fell out of the ride. Okay, this is the thing, my son is always losing stuff, and most of the time it's expensive stuff. I'm not even joking. Last week, the week before he left, he picked up his contacts. I asked him to pick up his contacts from my eye doctor near us, and I had, like 6 months worth of contacts or something that he picked up. He left them in Starbucks while he was waiting for his Uber to come home from school. And that's a whole nother video for another day because I'm not even gonna get into that. Anyway, I didn't tell his dad about that. But I mean, we're not together. Obviously, he lives in Florida. I live in Maryland. But anyway, that's another story too. So he flew to visit his dad in Palm Beach. And when that happened, it was frustrating because I couldn't communicate with him while he's there. And all I could do was just text his dad and just make sure he's okay. His dad literally sent me a screenshot of his ticket to come home the day before he was supposed to come home. Okay, I don't drive. I don't have a car right now. I don't drive. If you see my videos, you'll see I do a lot of walking, and that's why, because I don't drive. That's for financial reasons. It's not because I can't drive. It's not because I got my license revoked or anything. Like, I can drive, but I don't have a car right now. And I'm basically being the nonconformist I say that I am, and I'm not paying for insurance. I'm not paying some crazy money for a vehicle that breaks down, or I have to replace things and pay crazy amounts for insurance and all that. I'm just not doing it. So when I get into a more stable place with my finances, maybe I'll drive again. But right now I don't drive. I Uber or I walk everywhere. Luckily, I live in a place, that I can walk. So anyway, so you can imagine, first of all, I live far away from the airport. It's not like I can just, Uber him home. I've done it before, but I wasn't in a position to do that this time. So I had to scramble and figure out how I was going to pick him up. The communication between me and his dad is not that great. I mean, we're cool and everything, but it's basically like he's coming home, and it's basically my problem. So I texted my daughter. She does have a car, and she lives close by because my kids are pretty much grown. I mean, I have my son's 17. So anyway, I texted my daughter and I said, "Do you think we can go pick up Christian because his plane's coming in?" And she agreed to. She has, I think she just turned 6 months. So she has a 6 month old. And I know I should know that, but it's like she just turned 6 months because my other daughter has a 4 month old. Yes, I'm a grandmother, and yes, I don't know their ages because they're brand new babies. Anyway, so she said yes, she would pick help me pick him up. We go to the airport, and I told her it should be no big deal. He's coming in. He should be sitting outside waiting for us. Even though he has no phone, we can't, let him know we're there. I just prayed to God that it would all work out. So we're driving. First of all, we're talking and we're laughing. We're having a great time. The baby was being an angel, an absolute angel. I forgot she was even in the car. We're driving. Now I live in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Usually, most people fly out of BWI. Unless you're going internationally somewhere, you don't fly out of Dulles or Reagan that I know of. I mean, my family, we've always done BWI. Even, we lived in Western Howard County, which is another part of Maryland than I live now. But anyway, no one flies out of these airports. So for in-country flights or whatever. You know what I'm saying. So, oh my God, it's so frustrating when I tell this story. I have to get it out though, because the only person that really talked about it is my kids. And it's just something I have to when I was thinking about it today, I just thought I had to do a video about it because I want to save anybody that has a complete mind fart in their head and they don't think common sense. I'm trying to save you from what I went through. So I have the screenshot of his flight, and he flew to see his dad from Reagan International Airport to West Palm Beach. And my thinking was, oh, he must have had him fly from Reagan because it's a direct flight from Reagan to West Palm Beach. Maybe, perhaps, I think a lot of people maybe do that and then they maybe go and get on like a cruise ship or something. I don't know. I have no idea because I don't fly a lot. I've lived in other parts of the U.S., but I don't fly often. My last trip, which I have a video somewhere on my channel where I went to Florida and I did a road trip, and I don't think I ever even uploaded any of the videos from that trip. It was so stupid of me. But anyway, there might be one or two on there. So I drive. I don't like to fly. I mean, I'll do it if I really have to, but I don't like to. So again, his dad flew him from, he left out of Reagan Airport. Now, my parents live close by, but they're a little bit older. My mom doesn't drive too well anymore. And, well, my dad drove. So my dad and my mom and myself dropped my son off on the way to go to Florida at Reagan International Airport. So my daughter and I are having this great time. We're talking and laughing and, just having a great day. It was a beautiful day. It was really warm, it was nice. And we were just talking about how we were, excited for the spring and all this stuff. So we were just having a great day. We get to the airport and she starts driving around and I'm like, this doesn't look like the airport where I dropped him off at. I mean, I wasn't driving, so you got to understand, I'm in the passenger seat. And she's like, this is, DC, whatever. She pointed to, I think she pointed to the ticket that I showed her the screenshot. And she goes, and I said, oh, this is Dulles. This is the wrong airport. And she just is going along with me. Like, so we're like, oh, we're at the wrong airport. So we're freaking out and we're like, oh, it's fine because we're early. Like his flight hasn't even landed yet. Thank God we left early and all this stuff. So we're just, talking about that. And we're like, okay, it's fine. We'll get to the other airport and it'll be fine. I don't know I should know because of this day. I think they're like 45 minutes away from each other, 35, something like that. With traffic, probably closer to 45 or an hour. So anyway, we were early, like I said, so we were good. So we corrected course, went straight, going towards Reagan. And the baby starts to get a little fussy. And that's when the whole energy changed. I mean, I'm a spiritual person. I did my meditation that day. I was in a great vibration. My vibration was high. My daughter was saying, we were talking about it. She's like, I'm so glad you came, Mom, because if her boyfriend had come, she said that they would have probably argued because she was getting lost and we were getting turned around and all this. Because I'm not even going to bring up how many times we got lost and went on the wrong exits and all of this. She doesn't drive very much either or get around because she was getting lost in it. And I was just still being cheery and chipper and like, don't worry about it. You know, we've got plenty of time. He'll be fine. He's just going to sit outside. It's nice outside anyway. He'll be fine. So we finally get to Reagan and we're driving around and she's like, okay. And we checked the website and it said his plane had landed. So it said his plane was delayed, first of all. And she was annoyed because she's like, God, you know, I thought you said it was just going to be easy. He was going to be sitting right outside. And I was like, yeah, I did. I didn't know it was going to be delayed because apparently, even though it was beautiful here, where he was coming from in Florida, there were storms. And we should have known that. I mean, this time of year, I think it's like October. And then this time of year, they have a lot of storms or, you know, tropical storms or whatever that come through. So I hadn't even, you know, factored that in. So anyway, she's like starting to get frustrated because the baby starts getting fussy. And then she tells me that she doesn't have a charger for her phone. So she can't get around because of the GPS. So she's getting frustrated because at Reagan, just like a lot of airports, the flow of traffic is like directing you in and out of the airports, and it can get so confusing, especially when it starts to get busy. And this was at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and it was starting to get very busy. I mean, it started out like very light traffic and hardly any people there. And then it was busy, 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 busy. I can't even tell you how busy it got. And so on top of us being lost, my son not having a phone, her phone is dying. She doesn't have a charger. My phone was off, okay? My phone was off. I didn't pay my bill. I couldn't pay my bill, actually. I'll just be honest. I couldn't pay it. So my phone was off, and she and I were both just still trying to be positive. Like, well, you know, hopefully he'll just sit outside. Just go ahead, feed the baby. She breastfeeds, so she pulled over, breastfed the baby, and went. And then, you know, I think we had already stopped to go to the bathroom at one point, and we were looking for a gas station so she could buy a charger. Okay, I know this sounds very stupid because hope maybe if somebody's watching this, they'll know that there was another major place we could have bought a charger from that we were basically at, but neither one of us was thinking about that. She was focused on her baby, and I understand. And I was focused on my baby because he's flying in and he's sitting somewhere waiting for us. And she's got to feed the baby. Now she's got to go find a charger. He's nowhere to be found. He's not sitting outside. His plane has landed. He didn't have any baggage. So I'm trying to use the Wi-Fi, the airport Wi-Fi. Now you're probably laughing because the Wi-Fi is horrible at the airports. I don't know what it's like. I mean, any airport I've ever been to, the Wi-Fi sucks. It's really bad. This was just like becoming worse and worse of an experience because I couldn't get any Wi-Fi. Her phone's dead at this point. Her phone does die. And then we are not finding my son. We drove around. I went inside while she was outside feeding the baby. That's the other thing. You can't park, so you just got to keep driving and driving. You can park, but you got to pay. And she didn't want to do that until she got a charger. Anyway, it was a complete nightmare for all of us. The baby, I mean, I just felt horrible because it's all my fault. You know, I don't have a phone. He doesn't have a phone. So even if I did have a phone, it wasn't like that would help because he doesn't have a phone. And so we're looking everywhere for him. My daughter, I'm crying at this point. I completely lost it because she was losing it. And she was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. I have to go find a charger. We're going to get lost. We don't know where he is. I'm like, yeah, this is really bad. And she goes, just go talk to the police. They're standing right over there. So there was these 2 policemen. They were not policewomen. I think they were more like security. And they were sitting there talking, and didn't appear that they were going to be any help. So I just went right past them and then went to the customer service area. I had already had him paged. By this time, I had already had him paged 2 times. He wasn't replying. He was nowhere. The lady recognized me and she said, do you want me to page him again? And I said, I'm just going to go report him missing because he's not answering. I was texting his dad when I did have the little brief moments of Wi-Fi. I was texting his dad like, have you heard, do you know where he is? I don't see him. Are you sure he got on the plane? Like, he's not here. And his dad's like, not really replying to me. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I went and talked to the police, and I said, my son is missing. He didn't get off his plane. Well, first I had to go through customer service, and they had to get the police officer to come, because those people, like I said, those girls that were there, they weren't actually police officers, they were security. So the police officer shows up, and he goes, okay, what's your son's name? So he starts going through all the information. I tell him my son's like 6 foot. I'm sitting here, this little woman, I'm like 5 foot. And I'm like, yeah, my son's 6 foot tall. He is 17. He's not a little child. He should know what to do when he gets off the plane. But I don't see him. I've seen the planes come in. He's nowhere to be found. So he says to me, okay, and he starts looking at the information that I have. I said, this is the screenshot. This is the flight number. He looks at the flight number and he goes, and then he looks, further at the screenshot, and he goes, you're at the wrong airport. Oh my God. You don't know. You don't know what went through my mind at that point, because not only is my daughter completely freaking out and mad at me already, but to tell her that she was right to go to Dulles first, and I told her that was the wrong airport. Yeah, I have no words. So I had to, by this time when I was talking to the police, I'd already told her to wait, and she said she wasn't going to wait. My daughter, she said she was mad at me, don't talk to her ever again, and she's leaving, or she's not waiting. So I took that to mean she was leaving, and she was just, I thought in my head, okay, she's going to go find somebody, because we're in a very busy area. She'll find somebody and ask for directions back to the highway to get home. And I just figured she left me. She said she was going to leave, so, what was I supposed to do? She left. I followed the instruction of the police officer and tried to get a ride. I went outside, tried to see if my daughter was there. I didn't see her. He walks with me down and shows me where the cabs are and tells me how I, should just get one of those and go to Dulles. I had so the money that I was going to pay my phone bill with was in my account. And I was all happy that day, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pay my phone bill and I'm going to get this done and that done. By the end of that day, my money was gone, because I had to get from that airport to Dulles, and then I had to get my son and I back home after I picked him up, because he was at the other airport. And my daughter, I didn't know where she was. She left me. So I had to then worry about her. So not only after all of this, I found one child, and now I had another child missing and mad at me, by the way, completely livid with me, and her baby. And so then I was, had to be worried about that. So not only, she wasn't replying. I was calling her FaceTime, because she, I was iMessaging her and everything. My calls weren't going through. My messages weren't coming through, because at least I could do that. So every chance I had Wi-Fi, when I was waiting with the police officer and doing all those other things, I was messaging her like, hey, he's at Dulles. I'm messaging her and I'm telling her, he's at Dulles. You were right. Come back. Where are you? I'm texting her. I'm calling her. She's not answering. And I think when I was doing that during that time is when she was trying to get a charger. Okay, you guys. So she hasn't talked to me in a couple of days, and this is personal. And, well, she was already mad at me, so I might as well just, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. I mean, anyway, I'm sharing this story to help other people, and she'll appreciate that and understand that, because she knows that both of us were in the wrong. I was more in the wrong, and I accept that, and I take responsibility and accountability for that. But the other thing is, my other daughter, the night before this all happened, my other daughter, okay, I'm just going to say it like, she was in treatment. Okay, she went to treatment, so I was taking care of her son. And I was up all night. So I didn't get my normal sleep. I was all the way thrown off. Even though I meditated and I got my energy together, I still didn't have enough sleep the night before. So this very much threw me off. And when I saw the screenshot from his dad, I didn't look at it in enough detail to know that he was going to a different airport. I just assumed it said, international airport. Dulles is an international airport. Reagan is an international airport. So it was easy to confuse the two. And actually, when I was going through the airport, I overheard somebody saying almost a very similar thing, that, they were at the wrong airport or something. So I should have, in my spiritual mind, I should have known that that was a cue for me to know, before the police officer figured it out for me. So anyway, this is the thing I wanted to say, that it was just like today it hit me and I was like, oh my God. I was texting my daughter and I was like, I know you're still mad at me and I'm so sorry, but I miss you and I love you. And I'm like, why didn't either one of us know that we could literally have just gone into the airport and bought a charger? They have chargers at the airport. They have chargers. Like, buku chargers in the airport. Anyone could have, or she could have borrowed somebody's charger, for fuck's sake. I mean, it just, we were not thinking. Neither one of us were thinking clearly. And I'm supposed to be the one who knows stuff because I'm the mom, the whatever. I'm supposed to be the one that has shit together. And this was just a big smack in the face for me. Like, yeah. So I thought I would share the story because don't get to the point where you completely lose all sense of common sense when you're in the state of emergency, because you will go through it and have a day like I had that day. Because even after I had to pay like a $65 Uber to get from Reagan International Airport to Dulles International Airport. And after that, I think my fee was like $75 to get home. That was a very expensive mistake for common sense, because my daughter would have come into the airport with me and charged her phone, or we could have bought a charger. I could have gone in while she was outside and bought a charger. But I was mad at her because I couldn't believe that she was blaming me for everything. And I was like, it was irresponsible of you not to have a charger when you knew that you were going to the airport with a baby that needs, you need to be more responsible too. So I guess it was a lesson for both of us, but more on my end, because as a mom, I should have been like, hey, you have your charger. I guess, I still have to say those kinds of things, but I just assume a lot of times the wrong things. And this was a very expensive mistake that I made, to assume, what they say. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because when I think about that day, it frustrates me to no end. I just cannot even tell you. So anyway, that is my little story of appreciation for modern technology, because that day I really realized because I say all the time, oh, I don't have social media. I don't need, my cell phone. I wish I could just throw it in the river. Like, I say stuff like that all the time. But in times like this, you need to be able to reach people, I guess. I mean, that would have made the entire difference, because my son would have just said, hey, I'm at this airport, and we would have been like, oh shit, we gotta go. I mean, it would have been so simple, but it wasn't. It was a very, very fucked up experience. And I know now, don't ever go to the airport without a charger, and know which airport you're supposed to be going to. Yeah, so I could draw this story out, because there's a lot of little other things that I'm not going to even say. I mean, when I got there, I still had to have my son paged, because he still didn't have a phone, and he's just wandering around this airport because he'd been there for like 3 hours. I mean, when I tell you his plane landed at 3:45, we didn't get home till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And my other daughter, because I have 3 daughters, my other daughter was watching my grandson, which I was supposed to be watching, But because his dad just threw this on me the day before that he was coming home, I had to quickly make, all of these things happen. So I also want to just, take the time to say I appreciate the calm days of my life, because those kind of days really throw me off. And it takes me a lot of time to recover. And my daughters too, because they all went through it. And my son, because he was sitting around for hours and hours, didn't know if we were ever going to come pick him up, if we were going to be able to. It was just an all around really bad experience. And thank God we survived and everything was okay, because I literally was going through a moment where I was telling the officer, like, he could have gotten into an Uber and thought it was his or something. I was thinking of all these scenarios of where he could be if he wasn't. This was before, obviously, I knew he was at a different airport, but I was just thinking, like, he could be in somebody's car, or, somebody could have said they were there to pick him up and he went with them. I don't know. You just go through these thoughts in your head, like, things that could happen, But anyway, so that's my little story for story time with Maeve for tonight. And yeah, just next time you go to the airport, don't forget your charger and make sure you're at the right airport. Alrighty, have a good evening. Bye bye.